So today we're going to look at 3 ways to shallow the golf club. Now, shallowing the golf club for me is one of my favorite subjects because most golfers need to shallow the golf club earlier or more. So having 3 different ways to allow you to express yourself as an individual to get a more shallowing position, I think is going to be useful for all of you. With elite golfers, what we tend to see is they tend to shallow the golf club a little too late and then have to compensate through the ball by early extending or flipping the wrists a bit too much. With the worst golfers, they tend never to shallow it until very late with lots of early extension, or they don't shallow it at all and slice the ball a huge amount. So today I'm going to share with you 3 different ways in which you can get a more shallow golf swing to make you hit straighter shots and even draw shots if that's what you desire. If you're new to the channel, please follow or subscribe. I post videos every week, all designed to help lower your scores. Also hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified whenever I release a new video. Keep watching to learn these 3 ways to shallow the club. So 3 ways. We're going to talk about arms, body and wrists, okay, and their roles. So the first thing we'll talk about is body. So in the downswing, to shallow the golf club, we have to do what's called right side bend. So if you imagine I'm at the top of the swing here and I right side bend, you will see there how that golf club gets onto a shallower pitch. That shaft gets onto that shallow pitch just by right side bending and nothing else happening. All good golfers will have an element of this right side bend as they start the downswing. Now it happens for such a short period of time, but it happens. So for you as a golfer, if you don't feel like you get any of this right side bend, add some in. What you generally see when people right side bend correctly is they get this lateral bump. They get this lateral separation. So some people will feel it more with the hips, and then the right side bend is a consequence to that, and that's probably the biomechanical way of describing how it should happen. But still, some people, when they get the lateral move, will get too much in line with their upper body and never get the right side bend. So having that right side tilt, right side bend, however you want to call it, is ideal. Almost feeling that your right shoulder, trail shoulder, goes to your right ankle, or the end of your foot, the heel of your foot, would be a way of feeling it. So that'd be reason or way number 1. Let's just try a golf ball, giving it some right side bend. So I would say I definitely overdid that a touch, but I definitely got some right side bend in there. Way number 2 would be working on what the arms do. And what we want to feel with the arms is the trail arm moves underneath the lead arm, and it's that losing the arm wrestle feel that I describe quite often in my videos, that external movement of the shoulder that we want to see. This elbow pointing more towards the golf ball, or even above the golf ball as an exaggeration. Using what I call the nunchuck move to get that feeling of what the arm should do is kind of ideal. So from the top of the swing, feeling that right arm, lose the arm wrestle, point towards the ball, feeling that the handle is way above the ball in terms of direction. Slight overkill, but that's the kind of feel we want to have. The guys who don't shallow it, the trail arm is above and the handle points inside the ball line, or at least at the ball line at worst. So feeling that nunchuck move, or that rotation of the arm, is kind of the ideal way to feel the shallowing. Let's just try a ball doing that. Feels easier for me than doing the right side bend, but again, I'm happy for you to overdo these things to get the right shape in your golf swing. The third way is all about the wrists. Now what we want to see with the wrists is the lead wrist go into more flexion as we start down, trail wrist into more extension. Again, ideally, it should be more of a byproduct of what we've done prior to this, but it's definitely what we want to see. I would encourage you to feel that you get that lead wrist, the logo on your grip, kind of pointing to the sky and away from you as you start down. So you do a rehearsal. I feel you do that as much as you can. With some people, we talk and describe it as revving a bike. So you'd be revving the bike with your trail wrist and letting the lead wrist go with it. Certainly feel like you're going to rotate your thumb. And if you do it one-handed, you will feel the weight in the shaft, or the weight from your hand perspective, change. If you come down in line, it's quite light. If you do this, the club gets quite heavy. Obviously, if you go way in front of you again, it gets heavy again. But we're trying to make it heavy and full behind you, and that changes that wrist position and location. So the wrist, simply flexing more, helps get the club in the shallower plane. It has a small roll, but it has a roll. Ideal world, you would do all three of these moves to some degree, but the focus, the attention, the conceptual idea might well be for you personally on one of these things in a much greater sense. So again, I'll try and hit a ball now, and I'll really focus on trying to get my lead wrist in that bowed position as we get into that transition phase. Pretty hard for me that. Thought I gave it a real good go, but I know my wrist doesn't bow enough or flex enough in the transition phase as I'd like it to in my golf swing. I also steepen the shaft a little bit as well. So these three drills for me, although are going to help my game, are much harder for me to demonstrate than some other stuff that I might demonstrate in the channel. Again, please bear in mind, I don't practice for these videos. I don't practice specifically to try and get in a different place for these videos. It's all about me as a coach, describing for you what I'd want you to do and the steps you take to make these moves easier and more successful. So give them a go. So you have it, 3 different ways to shallow the club. Do you need to shallow the club? Well, I don't know. The key is, if you want to find out about your own personal golf swing, hit me up for an online lesson in my description below, and I'll be able to tell you what's important for you. The way of treating it or fixing it varies golfer to golfer, which is why I do so many videos with different ways to do things, because it gives people the opportunity and the choices to match their learning style and to help them improve their own personal golf swing. So if you've enjoyed the video, please click like and share the video. It really helps me. Also, what really helps is if you subscribe to the exact video and post comments. YouTube or Google, really love those kind of things, and it really helps promote my channel within the Google community, which helps me then spend more time hopefully helping you play better golf and score lower scores. Thank you for joining me today at the Forest of Arden. Hope to see you back here real soon.